Most of the time it's pretty obvious when something's going to cause a game over in a video game. For example, dynamite. See? Over the years we've gotten pretty good at avoiding these kinds of game overs, but there are some ways of losing that are so obvious and yet so totally irresistible that we end up doing them anyway. Here are 7 stupid game overs that we just couldn't resist getting. Enjoy!
Welcome. Welcome to the audition, Mr. Redfield. Now that you're all here, I ask you to prepare yourselves. You must be off book for this audition, so be sure to memorize your lines before the producer gets here. He has a volatile disposition, so be careful what you say and do in his presence.
B.J. Blazkowicz, the hero of Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, isn't exactly what you'd call a covert operative, inasmuch as his idea of being stealthy is to cut people's legs off with a hatchet. That said, later on in the game you find yourself thrust into a situation where you're forced to work undercover. A situation that I think we've all found ourselves in at one time or another. On Venus, auditioning to play the evil propaganda version of yourself in front of one of history's greatest monsters.
You are Jules Redfield, professional actor, traveling to Venus to audition for the part of William Joseph Blazkowicz.
After kidnapping one of the hopeful actors up for the role of him in a Nazi propaganda movie, BJ ends up heading to Venus armed with his papers, a turtleneck, and an impressively bushy false mustache, there to audition for the film's mysterious producer. Once the audition kicks off, 2 things quickly become apparent. 1, BJ is a terrible actor who can't remember his lines.
I will save your merry people too.
And 2, the producer is Adolf Hitler himself, who, as you can imagine, is a paranoid, gross lunatic.
I'm from Arizona.
In fact, Hitler is in such a bad state that during the audition he goes and has a lie down, at which point you are, if you so wish, free to stride up to him and boot his stupid little mustache right off his Nazi face. Now this is clearly a bad idea for you personally to go over and kill Hitler on account of how there are many guards and a giant deadly Nazi mech stood 10 feet away with its fearsome array of weapons trained directly on you. But come on, it's Hitler. Kick him in the face. Worth it.
Some say it does nothing, that it's simply a pipe dream, or a legend. Others feel the device is actually beneficial. The latter group claims it creates life where none exists. A new beginning for man.
In the world of Fallout, a Garden of Eden creation kit, or g.e.c.k, is a wonderful bit of terraforming technology that takes harsh irradiated wasteland and turns it into lush verdant fields. Probably even does something about those giant scorpions too. During the story you need to acquire one from its home in Vault 87, which is tricky because Vault 87 is more radioactive than Godzilla's cell phone.
I'll eat your bread and drink your blood!
After slogging through the vault, however, you do finally make it to the g.e.c.k, at which point the game gives you several options. 1, pick up the g.e.c.k like you're supposed to. 2, do nothing, also safe, seems like. Or 3, activate the g.e.c k, which might not seem like a great idea, but you never know, something cool might happen. Okay, well the game is asking us if we're sure we want to activate the g.e.c k, which probably means it's a bad idea, but in the absence of more details, I think we're still pretty justified in going ahead and... Right, okay, that is quite a bit more detailed in terms of how this is going to horribly kill me and everyone around me, but I think we're all tired of listening to these so-called experts. There was no way we could have predicted this. I think we all just need to agree to move on, come together, and forget it ever happened. In Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, you play a Sissel who begins his game dead in the least dignified position possible. Look, if you find me dead like that, you have to move me, okay? Deal. But having transitioned from crumpled corpse to powerful poltergeist, Sissel is a spectral superhero who averts crimes with his spooky ability to stop time and interfere with physical objects. From his new unlife in the ghost world, Sissel can save lives by going back in time to the exact point of a person's death, and then using the help of the ghost of a Pomeranian dog, swap items with similar shapes to help avert that death. it makes sense when you play it, honestly. In one of the deaths you're supposed to avert, the character you're trying to save, Cabanela, dies from a gunshot wound. The way you're supposed to stop this happening is by swapping the bullet as it comes out of the gun with a soft knit cap, which just flops harmlessly against Cabanela, causing him no damage whatsoever. Unless he's allergic to wool. However, there is something else in the room roughly the same shape as a bullet, a hard hat hanging on the wall. Clearly a terrible, terrible idea, and yet I am strangely compelled to try it, just to see what'll happen. Yeah, definitely worse than a bullet. Good work, everyone.
So it's done. You've killed the gourmet. And now, Titus Mead II is as good as dead. Oh, yes. And I've decided you will have the honor.
There are tons of spectacular ways to die in Skyrim, most of which aren't really your fault. Well, unless you mess with a giant's mammoths. That's just not on. If you're out to get the Tamriel equivalent of a Darwin Award, however, there's no better way than by blindly scarfing down handfuls of alchemical ingredients just to see what they do. Sometimes this is a worthwhile endeavour, as it'll tell you about items' beneficial properties. Other times it can be very bad for your health, as is the case with Jarrin root, a fantastically poisonous bit of flora that you acquire during the Dark Brotherhood questline to kill an empire.
What is this? Some kind of herb? Are you sure? The potage tastes perfect as it is.
In this quest, you're out to assassinate the Emperor of Tamriel, so need some real primo poison, something Astrid here is only too happy to provide. It comes with a dire warning, however.
Here, take this. It's called Jarrin root. All it takes is one taste, and the effects are quite immediate. The Emperor will be serving Sithis before he even knows he's dead.
Now, having been given such a stark warning about the deadliness of Jarrin root, most people would choose to steer well clear. But like the delicious-looking red water in that Egyptian sarcophagus they dug up, some people are willing to try anything just to see if it's really as bad as all that. I mean, it's one taste. How bad could it be? Well, I don't know what I was expecting. I'll always remember the advice my grandfather gave to me as a boy. He said, Andrew, never read a ghost's diary because they hate that and will kill you. And you know what? I think that's when we knew Grandad was going downhill. But now that I've played Paper Mario, the 1000-Year Door, I think he might have been onto something, because that very advice would have served me well during the section of the game set on the train known as the Excess Express. It's in one of the cabins here that you meet Ghost T, a spirit bound to the train by his fear of someone finding and reading his diary, which he left in the baggage car. Anyway, you have to find Ghost T's diary so you can return it to him. Or, if you'd prefer, you can do what both Ghost T and the game itself explicitly tells you not to, and read it. It's a tough choice because on the one hand, the ghost has a right to privacy, but on the other hand, juicy ghost secrets. And the ghosts seem pretty chill, right? Yeah, but like cursed by the ghost in a sort of mild slap on the wrists kind of a way, right? Yeah, but really, really bad in a good way, right? Wrong! Turns out the ghost is not, in fact, totally cool with you doing the thing he specifically asked you not to, and kills you. They could have at least warned us. The great thing about Sierra's adventure games was the amount of freedom they gave you to ruin your own game like a total jackass. Fancy getting kicked off the force in Police Quest for turning up to a crime scene and taking off all your clothes? Totally a thing you can do. For our money though, the stupidest game over of them all can be found in Space Quest at the start of the game, when space janitor Roger Wilco must escape a spaceship before it gets space exploded. You steal a shuttle for this very purpose, which, in true sci-fi fashion, is controlled by an array of important-looking buttons. Only one of these buttons, however, is labelled "This button is not to be pushed at any time," which sure is probably good advice, but also, in what universe are we not pressing it to see what it does? Not this one, Space Quest. Sorry about it. Turns out that button was being totally serious when it said not to push it, as you're quickly whipped through a kaleidoscopic time portal into another dimension faster than you can say, "My finger slipped," and you crash land in the grounds of Nottingham Castle in Conquests of the Longbow, another game by Space Quest developer Sierra. You're stranded in the Dark Ages, centuries away from any kind of cool space travel, but don't worry, you don't have to spend that long here, because you almost immediately die of your injuries. Yeah, thanks Game Over screen. Think I get it.
I'm not changed by the places I go. They're changed by me.
That's impressive. When I travel, I find myself drawn to dark, dangerous places.
Violent places?
Violence is the surest expression of power.
In Mass Effect 2, your Asari Justicar crewmate Samara's loyalty mission has her send Commander Shepard into the Afterlife nightclub on Omega to spring a trap for her daughter, Morinth.
Know this. Until I get there, you are in great peril. She will be planning to inflict horrors on you. If you are not careful, you will want her to.
This feat he accomplishes by punching people, punching more people, and then dancing like this so he can get her alone. I mean, who could resist? We already know at this point that Morinth is an Ardat Yakshi, which is an Asari with a genetic mutation that causes her to overload during sex and explode the brains of her sex partner. But still, the game gives you the option to side with Morinth instead of Samara and bring her onto your crew. This being Mass Effect, it also gives you the option to have sex with her, despite this clearly being the worst idea of all time and space.
She died because her nervous system overloaded, with an ecstasy so great she couldn't handle it.
Oh yeah, all the others died, but it's probably because they weren't as sexy as me, Commander Shepard. Let's do this.
Embrace eternity.
Oh, this is embarrassing. I don't usually die during, I swear. So there you go, those were 7 really stupid game overs that, despite all that, we still couldn't resist getting. Did we miss your favourite? Drop your suggestion into the comments, and for more videos like this, subscribe to Outside Xbox. Even better, hit the bell icon on the bottom right of the screen to get a notification whenever we've got a new video like this one. Thanks for watching.